Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. We start our video with a story in which the actual owner provides sweet karma for his younger brother who hit on our OP. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Okay, you're the boss. Years ago, I worked as a construction drafter for a mall. You know, the biggest one in the US? Most probably don't know, but a family owns it because they're obsessed with owning malls like the huge one in Canada, etc. Their structure of authority goes dad and oldest brother, absolute authority, middle brothers, heads of marketing and purchasing, youngest brother, Jack, hot-headed jerk in leasing, not even the head of leasing. They all live and work in New York, but use us as well because they do work in our mall and a new one they're currently still building. So I get a request from Jack to change the floor plan of an existing store that's planning to move, for a proposal of a new store moving in. I dread his emails. He's a huge jerk with a Napoleon complex, and nobody likes dealing with him. An interesting detail is that he sketched out it would absorb the back-of-house corridor. Problem is that according to the International Building Code, at the time, you're required by law to include a BOH corridor for any tenant over 24,999 square feet. This would be well over 26,000 square feet once it took the shape he requested. Well, he's the boss, so I created the draft and sent it to him, but I do mention the IBC statute and offer a second design that would be close to the square footage but keep the BOH. And this was also what my manager and I agreed would be best. Side note, in my department, authority went from low to high this time, me, and laterally my manager, our boss, project manager, his boss, facility manager, dad, and oldest brother, the head honchos from earlier. The management of these places was a nightmare of a tree. Well, within minutes of my reply, hot-headed Jack calls my boss and is apparently irate, yelling and swearing and saying crap like, "How dare he have the gall to talk back to me?" My boss called me in after that, and even though we never really hit it off, I don't think he ever liked me because we were too similar, but my manager only wanted me out of the applicants, so he had no choice. He wasn't yelling at me, for once. He tried to keep a cool head and told me, "Jack's an a-hole and always does this." So you can't do that when he requests something because he freaks the F out, regardless if you were right, which you are. Ooh, point one for me. When he emails you again, which I know he will, I want you to CC oldest brother. Can do. Once oldest brother got his copy, the hammer came down like Thor lost his Natalie Portman. Oldest brother is berating Jack in a now company-wide email, yelling at him for pulling that higher rank crap on me and calling him an idiot for not knowing the relevant statute in the IBC, and also for not listening to me for trying to save his butt, and finally for creating an issue that had to make its way to him, the big boy boss. Point two for me. Minutes later, I got a separate email from oldest brother informing me I was absolutely correct, thanking me for CCing him, and that Jack had peed him off too many times and was now no longer allowed to contact me, only the other drafters in New York. Game, set, match. And our second story. We can block you too. A little backstory. Our new neighbor, who we've not met yet because he hasn't moved in since buying the place in January, is ripping up the house foundation without a permit. For months, it's been drilling and concrete piles dragged away in pickup trucks on weekends. There is no supervision, and the crews are, well, frankly, a-holes. Construction trash in our yard, a porta potty sliding into our rose bushes, and constant abuse of our driveway. Today, a giant concrete truck blocks our entire garage. There's no way for us to get around it. We tell the driver he needs to move. He says he was told he can park here. By whom? Not us. We talk to another dude that's pumping the concrete into the house basement. We tell him categorically we did not give permission for the use of our drive. He needs to stop the pour and move. Because my partner needs to go to a meeting, they just ignore us and keep pumping. This goes on for a couple hours. We call the company phone number that's on their truck, get hung up on. Call the police non-emergency, They say they'll send a car over but still haven't shown up. We keep going over telling them they have to go. Get another neighbor involved just to be a witness. Finally, driver says he'll only move if he sees BF open the garage and get in our car. By now, BF canceled his meeting, so technically he doesn't need to go anywhere, but gets in the car anyway. The dudes unhook the concrete truck and maneuver it out of our driveway and into the street. BF pulls our tiny Fiat out of the garage and plants it smack in the middle of the driveway entrance. He turns off the engine and locks it. We go inside with dudes yelling obscenities at us. They finish their pour from the road, blocking the entire street. I checked occasionally that they don't F with our car. Thankfully, they didn't. Christ, I am so sick of this neighbor. And I haven't even met them yet. Edit. We reported them to the city a couple of months ago, the last time the crew did something to really tick us off. The construction stopped for a little while, but I'm not sure it was the direct result of our report or just a natural stopping point. The problem is, for the city to do anything about it, they have to catch them in the act. The houses are on a steep hill sloping down away from the road. There's very little visible from the street, and they're smart enough to only use giant concrete trucks on weekends. We will block you. And our last story. Mother thinks she's entitled to my wife's family's property. For a little bit of background, my mother's been an entitled bee to my entire family since we were kids. She's done so much to us it's hard to even know where to start, such as putting bills into our names before we were even 16, effing up all of our credit, demanding money from us all the time, most recently demanding money from me prior to my wedding last year for her to have a vehicle, or else she wouldn't allow my father, true, or brother, false, as he says he could have found a way there himself, to come. Claiming that my brothers have stolen things from them, having my father steal from us and forge my name on a paycheck so they can get money, claiming my 8-year-old nephew, at the time, beat her, and my dad, and so on. My mom's always had a knack for being able to manipulate me by using my dad's well-being against me, saying he won't have pain meds so she can get money, saying he'll have to walk for miles with his painful spinal injuries, etc., by comparing me to my brothers, claiming they won't help her, and crying to me, etc. Most recently, however, and the final straw for me, was that last year my wife's family generously offered to have her use the family cottage for a week, during which time my parents ended up royally pissing off the neighbors by not cleaning up their dog crap, taking out a boat only for my dad to pass out on one of their docks, and having the boat slam into it, according to the neighbors, trying to start a fire under the cottage porch, being rude and obnoxious, etc. Well, after that, my wife's grandmother, who owns the cottage, told them that they could only go up to the cottage if someone in their family went with them, me and my wife or someone else. They said fine. But then that grandmother died last year and my wife's mother and uncle inherited it. So in the middle of spring, my mom tried to find out if they can go up for a week, and we tell her that we can't take time off for a while to go up with her. She turned around and said that she thought that we didn't need to go with them anymore as the grandmother was dead. Anyways, after telling them that's not how that works, the rules are still in place, she said okay and eventually hung up. Skip forward a few weeks and she calls again, asking if we could plan a weekend where we could all go up together, and me and my wife say sure, we just have to work it out with our jobs and with my wife's parents. They thought that they could just go up anytime we were all free, though, because they asked why we had to ask her parents. Again, not my wife's or my property. In addition, by the end of the conversation, it was clear that she also thought that she could bend the rules previously mentioned by having us up there for the start of the trip and finish off the week with just them there. I confronted her on this and she said, well, we would feel like we were being babysat if you guys came with us the entire time. At this point, I'm just thinking, B, you would be being babysat by us, as that's the point. You've proven to my wife's family that you all need to be under supervision there, and lucky that they will allow you back at all. After she hangs up, though, I think it's been resolved, until a couple of days later when she texts me asking for my wife's mother's number so she can talk about the restrictions and such, which upset my wife because she was already being rude to us about everything, so my wife did not want to give my mother her parents' phone number for her to harass them, nor should she have to. So she texted back saying that she wasn't allowed to give it out. Shortly after, we went to the movies, only for my mother to send me a text saying, "We can't get Hannah's mom's number? WTF have you been saying to them about us?" My wife, trying not to cause more conflict, then sent them a message saying she would have her mother call them to talk. Well, this further devolved that night into us saying F all the niceties as my mother started texting me replies like, "We should never have had kids," and "I should have thrown myself down the stairs when I was pregnant." So after the accusatory message saying, "WTF, are we telling my wife's family about them?" I haven't responded at all and have blocked their number. My wife stopped talking to them after the final message of hers saying that she would have her mom call mine. It amazes me when I and others have to deal with family members abusing their relationship to family members to be able to get them to do something, and even more when they use their relationship to that family member to manipulate a third party like one of their friends, or in this case, a kind of fourth party like my wife's mother. I mean, who the F thinks that they are entitled to their children's wife's family's property? I shouldn't be as surprised as I am, though. After all, she used to hit my friends up for money and rides in high school and college. I will say, though, that things have been a lot less stressful since my mother has been out of the picture for us, and things between my brother's families and I have never been better. Sucks for her, though, is I was the last one out of her 4 sons that wanted anything to do with them. Good for you, standing up for not only yourself, but your wife's parents. Sounds like your life will be much happier without them in your life. It also sounds like your brothers figured this out before you did. They let you figure it out, is my guess. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.